Well, after waiting for 5 years, we finally have the Bachmann MK2F air-conditioned coach. This is the first release of the MK2F from Bachmann, and it is in the first open configuration. The standard open and the brake standard open will come at a later date, and it will appear in two liveries: the blue-grey and the intercity red stripe. The coach comes in two models, DC and DCC. This is a DCC one, and it's fitted with a decoder which allows interior lighting, flash and tail lighting, and also if you buy it in the red stripe intercity livery, you get door lock indicator lights as well. I'll take a closer look at this coach and go through the bits of detail, how it looks, what I think, and we'll also have a look at the interior with the body off. Okay, let's first look at the livery. Firstly, I think Bachmann have captured the BR blue very well. Hornby tend to do a darker BR blue, but I think Bachmann is slightly more accurate on this particular prototype. All the edges between the paint colours and shades is crisp. There is no flaws there. The area where they've got the vent here is very difficult to get the yellow stripe through without some form of haze and bleeding. They've done a decent job of it, I have to say. One side's a bit less tidy, if you like, than the other, but I'm nitpicking here. I mean, the livery has been applied superbly throughout. The correct shades, the correct proportion, the grey band I feel is the correct proportion, and the lining between the grey and the white is crisp. The colours for the underframe and bogie detail aren't black, they're a kind of browny colour. If you use Pico Track, the plastic sleepers, it's the same kind of shade of browny black, if you like, that Pico used, so that's quite a nice alteration. I don't know why they've chosen to do that. Maybe the prototype was like that, but if you can maybe see the kind of browny, more browny black colour there. If you just quickly look at the bogies there, you see the brass pickups to feed power to the lights. The springs on the bogies are picked out in red. I'm sure if you want to get rid of that, a wee bit of weathering would tone that down very easily indeed. The roof is a kind of grey, blue, again reminiscent of the prototype. The gangway door is correctly picked out in this shade. Different variations of the Mark II air-conditioned coaches had different coloured gangway doors, but according to my photograph that I'm looking from, this is the correct colour. Okay, let's look at the actual design of the Bachmann coach in comparison to, say, the prototype. I think Bachmann have nailed this. The proportions of the windows, the spacing of the windows, the tumble home, which is transitioning from the side of the coach down to the underframe detail, is spot on. I mean, I'm looking from photographs here and I can't really see a difference. There were a lot of gnashing of teeth when the Mark IIe from Hornby came out that they quite got that shape of the side of the coach correct. I didn't see much wrong with the Hornby version, to be honest with you. It's good value for money coach. However, the Bachmann coach has certainly nailed the shape and the proportion. If you can see there's a roof hatch and it's got the separately fitted wire grab rails. That's only at one end, as per the Mark IIF prototype. I feel that the grab rails are more in proportion than the Oxford Mark IIIA coaches, which I feel are well overscaled. So Bachmann have done a good job of keeping those fine details in the right size and proportion and scale. Looking at the end of the coach, I've just fitted the flashing tail light here. The flashing tail light dates it from the 80s onwards. However, you can fit an oil lamp representation there, which would run it from an earlier era and into the 80s, because they're still using oil lamps in the 80s. There's lots of separately fitted detail that can be added to the end of the coach, and a comprehensive instruction manual on how to do that. To show you, there's the bag of goodies there. You've got the usual pipe fitting connectors if you want to close couple them, which is great because that means they can still fit in with the current Bachmann range, such as the Mark IIAs and the Mark I coaches. So that's a good little touch. Lots of orange jumper cables and stuff to be added to the end if you wish. If you don't want to add the tail lamp, obviously you only want to add the tail lamp to the ends of the actual rake. There are blanking plates that you can clip in there, and they've even got blanking clips that are flush if you want to permanently put it in, or if you want to maybe temporarily put it in. There's a small blanking plate with almost a representation of a lamp iron on it that you can pull out, and they've supplied a little metal tool in the bag for you to do that. So you know, they've pretty much thought of everything. Okay, with the lighting on, it gives you a good view of the interior of the coach. It's in an orange plastic, but the tabletops have been painted in a kind of red colour. This is good because you do get a representation of the interior. However, what's bad about it is if you look closely on the opposite side of the coach, what you might not pick up in the video, you can actually see the glue where they've glued the glazing in. So it's quite untidy actually in some cases. The vestibule is also lit, unlike when you get a Hornby lit coach. That's also good, but you can see, if you look into it, you can see the door at the other side, again with the glue marks for the door glazing. So maybe they could have thought about putting an interior of the door on, like, you know, the panel, just to hide that bit of plastic. So, you know, that's, I don't know if I'll be able to see that if I move the camera. You might be able to see that it's just plastic all the way through there. They've not really tried to cover it up. And you can maybe just see the plastic at the other side of the seating there. It's quite difficult to pick out on a camera. It is set to a decoder fitting address of 3, just like a standard loco that you would get, and you can obviously change the decoder address. If you have got a rake of, say, you know, 6 coaches, you set them all to the same address so they all light and you can control the functions at the same time. If you want to have some lights off on some coaches and some lights on, then you obviously have to change different addresses for that. I don't know why you would want that, but you know, the option is always there. I'll put the lights out and you can have a look at it in the darkness. In the dark it looks slightly less orangey, if you like, which is bizarre because it looks more realistic, I feel, in the dark than it does in the daylight. They are quite strong lights. They could do with being toned down a little. I'm sure there'll be ways and means to do that with the decoder. I've not had a look at that yet. But as I say, it lights up nicely. All windows are equally lit. Again, unlike some of the Hornby interior lit coaches where the end windows and the gangway you know, ends of the coach aren't lit, especially the vestibules. But this one's fully lit, which is good. Okay, there is the flashing tail light on. You can probably just see a little red speck there flashing off and on. I suppose it's very accurate to the prototype because it is quite dim. I expect it to be a bit brighter than that, to be honest, but that would have made it a wee bit less realistic. The light does shine through the gangway doors there, the 2 small slit windows at the top, as you can probably see, and the light is flashing. Now if I want to change the direction, so this part of the train suddenly becomes the bit behind the loco, then, and the other end has to be flashing, I just change the direction, like you would do if you change the direction of a loco, and the lighting would switch to the other end. Obviously the other end of this coach would have a blanking plate, and say the standard class coach at the very end of the train would have the lamp fitted. I'll put it on constantly to show you the difference if you fit the oil lamp. Okay, there's the lamp on constant. Just lifted the coach up, moved it from the switch from flashing to on, and there you go. If it was an oil lamp, that's what it would look like. It is a little bit brighter, actually, to be fair, in real life. The camera is dulling it down a little bit. I'll quickly go through the instructions. On this page we've got the DCC operation, and it gives you all the function lists as to what you need to do to switch things off and on, and it tells you about the battery lamp and the oil lamp. Also tells you if you want the interlock lights on for the door locks all to light on the same side, then you've got to have them in the same arrangement. So the roof hatches have all got to be at one end, so they match up. I suppose if you turned that coach the middle round, for example, the lights would light on the other side. So that tells you how to do that. Also gives you a comprehensive diagram of where to put all the detail and what they all are, which is handy because sometimes I don't know what they are, whether to fit them or not. And I was telling you about the little clip for the blanking plate. There's ones with little clips on them, like lamp irons, and this wee metal tool that you get to remove them. The final bit I'm going to show you with the coach is the body removal if you want to fit passengers or get into the inners of the coach for any reason. It's very straightforward actually. There are 4 slight areas there for clips. You can both see them. 1, 2, and then you've got another 3, 4 there. And then you just prise them out like moving the body on a loco, and what you'll end up with is this. And you just carefully slide it off. They're quite robust. Okay, you've got a better interior look there. Now it's got the wee glass partition which is quite a nice bit of detail there. You see where the 4 clips are, 1 and 2 on the other side, and in there you've got a circuit board and it's wired into the coach. You can't take the body off completely. You can take that plug fitting out, the white plug fitting for the coach on the roof there, if you want to remove the lighting or remove the body completely. But yes, I'm quite impressed how easy it is to remove. Now, another little thing, the lighting, there's a separate light for the vestibules than there is for the interior of the coach, because the light won't go through there. They've closed the corridor off the door access, so there's a separate single LED light there, and it's different from the ones inside the coach. There's a bit of thought in that. That's quite a good touch. And the body should just slide back on and clip into place. I've now coupled them up with some Mark IIAs, and you can see the difference in ride height there. The Mark IIF on the left is probably more of the same height as the Bachmann Mark 1s, whereas the Mark II on the right hand side, in my opinion, sits too low. It sits too low for the Mark 1s and it sits too low for the Mark IIFs, so Bachmann's got something wrong somewhere along the lines, because the coaches should sit at the same height. There is a repair you can do on the Mark II non-air conditioned coach on the left to, shall we say, raise the ride height, which I might do in the future. What I'm going to look at now is value for money. The one on the right is the Bachmann at £67, and that's from Hans. The recommended retail price for that, as I said earlier, is quite a bit more than that. For that money you get a beautifully produced coach, lovely applied accurate livery, good under frame detail, accurate bogies, an interior with some painted additions, i.e. the tables, lighting, and you also get a very weak flashing or constant tail lamp. On the left, with the Mark IIIA from Oxford, you get a flawless model, very well decorated, no flaws on the finish. Okay, the shades aren't correct, but that aside, you can't fault the quality of the paint. The underframe detail is superb, the bogies are accurate, it has the same spring pivot mechanism for coupling as the Bachmann. You get a lot of separately fitted detail on the ends of the Oxford coach. The interior is far better decorated than the one in the Bachmann, with chairs and tables being picked out individually. So the question is the one on the right worth 2 and a bit times more than the one on the left? And the answer to that, quite frankly, is no. If you'd stuck lights in the Oxford, it wouldn't have added another £37 to the price, and you've got a modern, tooled, accurate prototype in the Oxford, as well as the Bachmann. So I don't know where Bachmann are getting their pricing strategy from, but £6-7 is not, in my mind, value for money when you compare it with the pricing strategy from Oxford Rail. Interesting to see what you think. If you have any comments on this, please post them in the video.